Hey guys, welcome to a new feature here on Nerd of the Rings. It's called Collectibles Review. Now, as you can imagine, I am a huge fan of Lord of the Rings collectibles. I love all the swords and armory and the helmets and all the cool things that have come out in the years since the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies. And I've built up a small collection myself. It's far from a museum by any means, but it's one that I've become proud of. And I have 2 new additions to my collection. And I wanted to do those in special unboxing videos and give you my thoughts and let you check out the cool details with me. First up today, we're going to be unboxing the Helm of Éomer. And then in a video coming up on the channel very soon, we're going to unbox Gúthwinë, the Sword of Éomer. Incidentally, he's one of my favorite book characters. A lot of the coolest lines from the films that Theoden has are actually Éomer's in the books. So if you didn't know that, it's an interesting fact, and well worth checking out the books so you can hear some awesome lines delivered by Éomer. But for now, we'll set this one aside and we'll dig in to this awesome helmet. And this box is pretty huge. I was very surprised how big this box was. All right. I don't have my pocket knife. Guess it opens a little bit more than letters. All right, man, look at that. Whoo! Oh man. This is fun. I love opening stuff like this. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. It's definitely got some good weight to it, for sure. Oh man. Pull the plastic off here. That is impressive. I love that stuff like this has some genuine weight to it, and it's not, you know, flimsy. Like if you were building your own, you'd do like the foam thing that cosplayers do, but this is pretty legit stuff here. Oh man. I have a little bit of a big head, so it's a little tight on me. But man, that is pretty legit. Yes. Look at that. This hair throws me off a little bit. It looks cool in the films, but man, when it flings in front here, it kind of throws me off. I can't ride a horse, but I feel like I should be able to right now. That's pretty legit. It's a very tall helmet too. Man. Yeah, I love that the weight is substantial. You see the horse designs here on the side. Now these of course are modeled after the props that Weta used. And the Weta design is second to none, as always. I always enjoyed the Éomer's had this horse head coming down for the nose guard. It's a really cool feature. And then on the back, we've got some text here, including there's Éomer, and then I think this is all Rohirric text on the back, which I think we might have a translation for. The ponytail of hair. The ponytail that's actually pony's tail, if you think about it. Could be a pony's actual tail. And then of course this also comes with a base. Very nice. So it's got a base that is actually has some leather to it. And then it's got a nice plate up here. Says number 366 out of 1,500. So there's only 1,500 of these guys made. Looks like we've got some plastic to peel off here. There we go. So we get that nice and shiny. But yeah, so this is obviously modeled after Éomer's armor, which is really cool. I love that it's not just like a plain stand. I think this is a really cool way to display this helmet. So we put it on here. There we go. The Helm of Éomer. 18th King of Rohan. We've got the certificate of authenticity here. Let's see what it says. So on the one side, we've got the Lord of the Rings across the top, and then we've got the full ring verse all the way through In the Land of Mordor where the shadows lie. And then on the front side here, we've got quite a large bit of text going into some details about Éomer as a character, Rohan and the Rohirrim, and then the fact that this was based on the designs by Weta. Says how the prop maker is Weta Workshop, production designer Daniel Faulkner, who incidentally we had here on the channel once, so that's pretty cool. We get to see one of his pieces brought to life right here in the flesh. I love that it says, even though the helm is designed with a leather padded interior and can be worn, it is intended to be a collectible display replica. Impact or shock may cause damage to the replica. So don't get into any actual sword fights with this thing. But people would run away from you because they'd be so scared of how fierce you are. So on the certificate of authenticity, it tells us a little bit about Éomer. It says, the nephew of King Theoden, Éomer was a captain of the king's cavalry. Marshal of the Mark, third Marshal of the Mark, to be specific. It doesn't say that, but we know. And one of Rohan's mightiest horsemen. Like his sister Éowyn, Éomer was a noble and strong warrior. He led a company of Rohirrim horsemen to victory against the Uruk-hai in the Battle of Helm's Deep. When Theoden rallied his forces to the defense of Gondor, Éomer was by his side riding with the Rohirrim to protect the White City of Minas Tirith and the hope of all Middle-earth. He bravely fought against the forces of Mordor on the Pelennor Fields, skillfully wielding his sword Gúthwinë and hurling his great spear. And speaking of his spear, I did see that United Cutlery is actually coming out with Éomer's spear, which is pretty awesome because it takes out 2 Mumiks. 2 Mumikil. 1 spear. It's like 2 birds, 1 stone, but much more Middle-earthy. In the final stand against the Dark Lord Sauron, Éomer fought alongside Aragorn with the armies of Rohan and Gondor at the Gates of Mordor. He was recognized by his kinsmen on the battlefield by the flowing horsetail that crested his helm. After Theoden's death and the War of the Ring was won, Éomer was named King of Rohan, which actually in the books he's named King of Rohan on the Pelennor Fields by Theoden as he's dying. But we can get into that later. Rohan was a kingdom of horsemen. The Rohirrim and their entire culture was based around the breeding and trading of horses, which were essential in their daily lives. Their clothing, weapons, and armor were all centered around nature and horses. Éomer's armor and weapons were elaborately decorated and among the finest in Rohan. He wielded a royal sword called Gúthwinë, which he used to slay many orcs and uruks from Isengard that dared trespass into Rohan. His steel helm was adorned with a brass horse head noseguard extending across the crest of the helm, ending in a flowing horsehair tail. The cheek guards were elaborately engraved with a horse motif. The leather neck guard was engraved with Rohirric words stating the helm belongs to soldier and Prince Éomer, protector and kinsman of Theoden. So pretty cool that it gives a little bit of a background history of Éomer, especially from the movies. It's mostly centered on the movies, obviously. And the fact that this is based on the Weta Workshop design, I just love that about these items. Like I said earlier, Éomer is one of my favorite book characters because he has a lot of the best lines that Theoden has in the films, which is probably part of the reason why I love Theoden so much from the films. But the chanting of death, 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 and ride to ruin and the world's ending, those are all lines of Éomer's from the Battle of Pelennor Fields. And then another one of my favorite lines of his, actually Theoden gets that in the Two Towers film, but again, Éomer says it at Pelennor Fields. Out of dark to day's rising, I came singing in the sun, sword unsheathing. To hope's end I rode, and to heart's breaking. Now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red nightfall. Yeah, like I said, I do have kind of a big head, so this is a little snug on me. But I don't think that'd be the case for the average person. I think I have a bigger than average head. There's a reason that I fit into dwarf helmets really well. And of course, as I said, Theoden is one of my favorite characters from the films, so I do already have his sword. It's one of my favorite of the swords from the films. And I just love the fact that the horses are so integral to all of their weapons. And one thing we'll notice, when we get to Éomer's sword, we'll notice, that there's similarities, but there's also differences between the Rohirrim swords. So, Éowyn and Éomer and Theoden, they're all different, but they all pay homage to the horses that are so important to their civilization. It's a really cool piece. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really pumped that I'm holding this right now. This is pretty legit. Éomer's is one of the most distinct helmets in the Lord of the Rings films, I feel like. His and Theoden's, like I said, I have a soft spot for dwarves and Rohirrim. And Theoden, Gimli, and Éomer are some of my favorite helmets from all the films. So to be holding this right now feels pretty awesome. And it definitely gets bonus points too for the base. Like, this base is really, really cool. I actually wanted to bring up the Gimli one to kind of compare the two. So I've had the Gimli one for a little while now, and I think that it came out first. I'm not 100% sure which one was released first, but I'm guessing probably Gimli. And you can see there's there's quite a bit of difference actually of the two bases. So Gimli's, you'll notice, looks a lot like the plaques that you would see on the United Cutlery swords that you would see mounted on the wall, which is fine. Like, it's a good design. It works. It's still got the Helm of Gimli in a cool font there. So perfectly fine base. I just feel like this Éomer one takes it to a whole nother level. There's actual leather in this, I think I read in the paper that came with it, but it definitely feels leathery. The design is obviously there from the films, from Éomer's armor, and the fact that this is worked into the base just gives it a whole other dimension. It brings it to a whole nother level for me. So I could understand, I'm not 100% sure what the current pricing is on this now, but I could understand if this was a little bit more expensive than the Gimli one was back in the day when it was coming out. So I've officially swapped out Rohan headwear. So no more of this. When we're talking about War of the Rohirrim, I'm going to be wearing this puppy right here. It is a little top heavy, a little bit front heavy, I'd say, from the horse design, from the nose guard going all the way up. But it's not too bad. I think the Gimli one actually weighs a little heavier on my head if I was comparing the two. But they're both fun. It's really cool to wear. Like, I'm just sitting here looking at myself in the monitor, and it absolutely brings a smile to my face because this is a legit helmet. Again, bonus points for the base. This base is incredible. And I just love that this world that I love so much has so many cool collectibles from it. And so many are so similar to what was actually used in the films. I don't usually go into like scoring systems and stuff like that. I just kind of give my opinion, and I figure you guys can judge for yourself on these kind of things. I will say I really, really enjoy this helmet. I enjoy all of these swords and the collectibles and the armory, and all of it is just so good. And it's replicated from the Weta designs, which just makes it even more special. Again, bonus points I feel like for the base. The base is really cool, but I love just being able to pop on this helmet and feel like riding into battle in Pelennor Fields. I do want to say a special thanks to United Cutlery. They did send me this helmet to unbox and share with you guys here on the channel and give my thoughts on it. So if you're interested in this helmet or any of the swords, and like I said earlier, they're coming out with Éomer's spear later this year, which is going to be really cool. You can go to the link in the description and see all of their current products, and they've got a lot of their upcoming products there as well if you want to check those out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have ideas of other collectibles that you'd like to see me unbox and review here on the channel, let me know in the comments, and be sure you hit subscribe because we'll have that Sword of Éomer coming up really soon here on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.